Hello everybody and welcome to Borelli Family Adventures. My name's Ian and I have my daughter helping me today. I wanted to take you back through this video. It was originally 34 minutes long and just nobody really watched it. It was kind of disorganized. So this is going to be kind of a walkthrough of a much shorter version of it with redone audio. So in this configuration here, we're just kind of looking at the tongue box area. Articulating hitch, of course, for off-road capacity. Obviously standard chains and everything else. It's also got a handbrake, which is very convenient when you're not hooked up to the vehicle and you want to ensure it's sitting still. For the most part, you'll see, we're going to talk about electrical connections here in a second. Obviously, this vehicle's got a 7-pin connector for trailer brakes, as you normally get on any other U.S. camper. But there's something unique to the way that this vehicle has to charge. You also notice that the rear of the Pathfinder is kind of sagging a little bit, not in this particular shot, but coming up. We ended up adding the Firestone 4150 airbags from a Nissan Armada due to the 2-inch lift on the vehicle. The airbags do help out. They do make the ride a little bit stiffer in the rear, and the truck is ultimately lighter in the front, so it does pogo a little bit, but it's not terrible. Now, the Anderson is a 50 amp connection that is used for charging. In Australia, they don't use the 7-pin connector for charging. Their 7 pins actually flat, ours is round. So that needs to be wired to the vehicle's battery, start battery or charge battery. As far as the tongue box is concerned, it is fully enclosed for the fuel side, and the propane side is vented on the bottom. Holds two 20-pound propane tanks, and then in this case I'm using it for wood storage. I hadn't bothered to get to the 20-liter jerry cans to give you a capacity of obviously 40 liters total. Pretty easy setup, pretty simple. It does stay pretty watertight. We have gone through some stuff, and so far everything's fine. Probably one of the biggest upgrades when you're camping is being able to not have to worry about how much ice you do or don't have and trying to guess how long that ice will stay. I purchased a Chinese fridge, kind of kept with the theme of the trailer. It's a 56-liter 12-volt DC. Charges off the two 220 amp hour batteries that are in the trailer. And so far, we've tested it. I did dry test where I just put it in the garage after 100% charge, left it in there. And I was able to go about 7 days and the batteries were still at 60%. So pretty fantastic. It leaves the fridge about 34 degrees. It can go into a freezer mode. I haven't used it yet. Haven't really found it to be necessary. I actually wouldn't mind picking up a second one and running one in refrigerator and one in freezer mode, depending on how long the trip's at. We also store just kind of pots, pans, and just general kitchen stuff in this as well. Storage is also pretty nice. The way that the slide is set up is it does fully extend out. I don't know what the dimensions are of the actual slide itself, but when you push it back in, you'll see here it locks. If you're on a weird incline, it will lock into place so you can still access the fridge. Pretty simple setup, and then all you do is press that little blue trigger again, and you can slide it back in like so. Once it's in place, you got to make sure the little blue trigger is in place, otherwise it will lock. Now you notice on the inside you saw the fan there. When I close the door, I'll show you. The fan does vent outwards to keep the fridge from overheating. One of the worst things to have is have the fridge turn off while you're driving long distances and have your food baking inside of this compartment for hours on end without knowing. Quick note on these latches, they're manually adjustable, so you can get in there pretty easy. This drawer right here, you're going to see, this is where you keep the tent poles and some other general storage. What I'm pointing to right now is the pole diagram for the tent portion of the trailer, which we'll get into in a little bit later. But again, the poles are set on the inside there. It does go the entire way through the trailer. Very simple, easy setup. Yes, this is a pole. You'll see there's a number on there. There's a little twist knob. This is probably the best part of the entire trailer is the kitchen. One of the hardest things we've always dealt with is trying to cook for 3 people while you're out there. This trailer on the left-hand side there, you'll see it's got one DC 12-volt and 2 DC 9-volt power ports and then a water port. Underneath the trailer, behind that cabinet, is your propane and accessory water connection as well. The fridge is completely stainless steel. You'll see that on the side there's a cutting board that slides out of the bottom, but then the entire kitchen itself slides out. It is nearly the width of the entire trailer. Probably the best part of this is not only that you get a massive amount of place to store an actual dedicated kitchen, but you have a massive amount of prep area as well. Underneath, what I'm reaching for right now is a basically a stabilization leg put it down, give a little lift on it, so you just lock it in place, tighten that down, and everything will be a-okay. It also allows you to try and level it up a little bit, but I definitely recommend having the trailer leveled first. That space right there that you're seeing is approximately 36 inches, so you get about 3 feet of usable space on the other side. A 3-burner, has an electric igniter on there. Again, the 2 DC 9 volts you see on the other side there, one is for the LED light I'm holding up there, and the other one's for the igniter. The kitchen is solely cold water, although I do have a hot water heater on here. It's portable. You guys will see that on the other side. In this first bin is things like the drain, which you can put out the bottom. I either do a septic style and dig a hole and let it drain into there, making sure I don't use anything that'll harm the environment, or you can go into, say, like a gray 5-gallon canister. Otherwise, the water is contained in there, and also the hookup for your gas fuel. The second and the third drawer, the middle drawer that I'm pulling out, this drawer is going to be all your silverware, knives, forks, things like that, other utensils that we use in there, hot water, or hot pads, excuse me. And this other drawer here that we're using, taller stuff like cups, and just some accessories as well. Plates are in there, pretty simple stuff. One thing is a bit of peace of mind. We're out there. Some of the trails we've been on so far have been pretty rough. I'm always kind of concerned about popping a tire. The truck has 1 full-size spare. The trailer does come with 2. They sit on the back of the vehicle like this. There's no noise to be heard so far. I haven't had any, at least. The idea behind this is that you always have something to go. It is a 265/75/16, which is a compatible size with the Pathfinder. If I wanted to go down to a 16-inch rim, I could, and run a matching tire. But it's about 1.5 inches smaller tire than what I'm currently running. I like where I'm at, so I'll probably just leave it for right now and just deal with having separate sizes. But it is a Land Cruiser bolt pattern, so it should be a 6x139 6-bolt pattern. So as you see on the side here, there's a little crank. That's for the winch system, which we'll get into a little bit later. It's actually used for the top more than it is for this. The entire back is gas or gas strut assisted, so you can push it down to get it out of the way. It's also easily assisted to lift it up. Michaela can put this away no problem, and that gives you access to the drawer system in the back. So the right side of the trailer is mostly for water and power. So this back door here is where you have your shore power hookup. So there's an inverter in there. You plug it in. You can charge your batteries off of this, or you can run shore power off of it as well, if you happen to be staying at an actual campground that does offer electric and water hookups. There is one thing you do need to make sure that you are having the right setting. On the left-hand side, it's hard to see, but there is a switch in there. Switch on, switch off. Basically, if you're in the on position, it'll charge. If you're in the off position, you can still power the vehicle without charging the batteries. Next over is the lockable water inlet. It's pretty simple. You unlock it, you put water in there. We do have a standard white hose. You do have to pick one up. It does not come with the trailer, so just keep that in mind. The next bay that you open up here is the power distribution. So this contains a 250 amp fuses. It gives you your water level, which I'm putting out right now, and then below that will be your power level, your percentage. It also has 2 DCs on the left-hand side as well, 12 volts. And then you have individual breakers below that with on and off switches for power, or your main battery. It also has power for the lights, plugs, water pump as well. So, oh, and the refrigerator, excuse me, as well. Now in this cabinet right here, this is the other side of the pole. And then we also have another matching slate drive. Now the device that's in there right now is actually the hot water heater. I'm not really going to take it out. There's a battery pack on it, so you can mount it really anywhere on the trailer. I do have provisions for the water and the gas hookup on the other side of the trailer. Mounts to the tire rack, so if I want to use it for a hot shower, or if we're in a really cold climate, I want to use it for the dishes instead of cold water, I'm more than capable of doing that. This side mirrors the fridge slide from the other side, except it's a slightly shallower version. We just generally keep, in this video you'll see that we have the tent awning in there. It actually opens up about 17 feet wide and about 10 feet out additionally to the trailer. And then also you also see where we have the mattress pad in there as well. But so far this has all changed. Mattress pad stays inside, and we got a rooftop carrier that sits on the boat rack. That anything of the provisions that are extra to the trailer sit in. This is all waterproof. I put it into a waterproof cover anyway, but I wanted to put things that are a little more delicate inside of this that need to be locked up. Now, part of one of the reasons we got away from a rooftop tent was because the top of the truck, having 200 pounds up there, plus myself and the wife and the kid and the dog, in the wind, you'd sway around and it'd create kind of this like uneasy feeling. You'd never really get any good sleep. So part of what you can do here is it does have an off-road style jockey wheel up front. You can drop it down. Honestly, the one that they give you is barely tall enough to hook up to the Pathfinder. So if you're running something taller than this, then you have to be careful. You may need to upgrade it. Then you get 4 stabilizer legs that are on either side. Essentially, you'll watch. You can pull that handle and they swing down. Now they can lock in multiple positions. You don't have to go 100% straight down. You can even go at an angle if it's necessary for the type of ground you're on. But they do have them in all 4 corners. They are not designed to level the trailer. They are designed to assist once the trailer is level to keep it steady. That way you don't have a lot of movement in the trailer, and that way you get a nice restful sleep. And you just pull it back and it goes right back into place. The boat rack on top is phenomenal. It carries about 100 kilograms of weight. You can put whatever you want on there. It's very easy to maneuver. Again, we have about 30 pounds up there with the tent material from the other side out of that rooftop carrier. Essentially just pull those little pins out I was just showing you guys, pop the little latches, and it is again gas strut assisted with a spring. You can toss it up if there's nothing on there. If there's nothing on there, it's still very easy to pull up. It is gas strut assisted again. For the camper setup, just pull these little pins, and you're going to see that there's a little winch that was here. You also notice one on the back side. This is how we're going to take the trailer up. So essentially I undo this, I'll hand it over to Michaela, and the idea is that you want to have this go all the way over. It takes 2 seconds to do. You can do it manually if you'd like and just push the camper top up, but you can hurt yourself. So you do want to make sure that that hook is locked into the ring, and you want to make sure that the strap is kind of seatbelt material. You want to make sure it is laying flat. That way when you are cranking it back up, it does hold it in place. Give it a little assist at first just to bring it up, and then you can start cranking it over. It's a little difficult at first. It's obviously kind of fighting it. So you're going to bring it up, and eventually it's going to get to where you're going to get it to almost where it's halfway or straight up and down at a 90-degree angle with the rest of the trailer. And again, it's extremely light. There's a gas strut on this as well. You can pull it over and just softly bring it down. Now from the back of the trailer, this is the bed access for the second bed. So there's a queen up front and a queen in the rear. This kind of gives you an idea as to how much it's going to slide out here. You can pull this up. Bringing it up helps clear all the fabric out of the way of the slides. And then here's a short video of me just screwing around trying to get the door open. It's actually kind of a weird key. Once you do get it open though, you can run inside. You'll see there's actually a little bed slide in there. First though, I am grabbing the poles out. I know I'm going to need 2 13s. I'm going to need number 10 and then 4 number 7s. And I'll show you how quickly this goes up. In real time, without having to show you guys and walk you through everything, we can get the camper set up in about 7 minutes flat. That's the money shot. Now, you'll see in one of the other videos, our bed slide came with 2 pins that push out into 2 metal tray slides, and they moved around quite a bit, so we did an upgrade. That's in another video that was actually released a few days ago. You can look at that. Essentially all we did is we used some screw covers that are rubberized, put them on there, and that seems to solve the issue pretty much completely, which is good. So these poles, you get the center pole that's already erected, and then you have the other poles that are kind of around it. Starting with the number 7s, getting your main area set up, that way it's easier to at least move around in the environment, get your stuff out of your way, set yourself up for a good clean working area. That's usually the easiest way to deal with most of this. In a second here, we'll kind of zoom out of the camper and you'll kind of get a fast forward view of how this is all going to get set up. One thing to keep in mind is when you are doing this and you are putting this all together in the camper, It's important to remain patient. You do not want to damage anything. I could only imagine what it'd take to repair any of the canvas on this, and that's something that is a concern. It is very strong canvas. It will be fine once you pull it tight, but as you go through and you're making adjustments, do take your time, making sure you look at what you're doing, check twice, kind of thing. I'd also like to mention that when you're setting this up, make sure you have the legs down before you extend that rear bed, otherwise the trailer will kind of wheelie, depending what you have in the tongue box. We don't have to worry about this. It's attached to the Pathfinder at this point, and it's not going anywhere. So you can see where the rear is being set up, starting to lift everything into place. Pretty simple, of course. Now with it all extended and everything up, it gives you two queen size mattresses, one at either end, and then a dinette area in the center. So it's good for seating 4 people. The dinette area does fold flat as well for another twin size bed. That's suitable for children. When it's not being used for kids, it sits up into a full size bed and then a full size U-shaped dinette as well, if you'd like to do that instead. So pretty simple. I'm taking a little walk through here. Okay, so if you want to keep the seat up, that's a full-size bed behind there. You can see the cushions are still out there. Kind of give you an idea. And then your mattress, that folds down from the couch into the mattress area. Little dinette. A table does adjust for height as well, which can make it a little bit easier depending on how tall or not tall you are. The other side is the queen-size mattress area. There is LED lighting built into both ends. There's control by the door, and there's also controls by your feet when you're walking in the door on the right-hand side as well. The table that you noticed a little bit earlier to the left of it is where you'll actually access the whole battery system from the inside. The digital lighting system up there. Overall, tons of room for a family of 3. It's more than enough for us. Very happy with the situation. Now, once you have the inside set up, it's a good idea to come outside and start pulling everything down or putting it together. As you can see straight through the camper at this point. We're just going to go through, and we're going to start putting this stuff together. There's some zippered ends that'll go together. And again, I'd like to remind everybody, this is our second time setting it up here in the parking lot. So making sure that you have it in the right place is still kind of a learning curve. Now the windows all the way around the trailer are pretty similar. 2 zippers on the side and Velcro around the bottom. Pull them out, and then there are some poles that will then be inserted into either side and across the top, and they'll hold them out. Now there is one thing that I've realized since I bought the trailer that I'm not really a fan of, that I loved on my rooftop tent, is I could put these out for when it is raining. But let's say that it's cold and it's snowing, and I wanted to be able to look down and see the snow, but let's say that I want to turn around and cover up the window for when I'm about to go to bed. I don't want to go out there and then have to deal with the snow and everything else. There's no inside blind or covering of the window, so I'm actually trying to go with something that is aftermarket or not stock to be able to put in there as well. Okay guys, that wraps up the Black Series Patron walkthrough. Please feel free to comment below, and please subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.